Let's quickly look at the interesting AI news from last week. This week we have got a very diverse set of news starting from robotics to a lot of fundings. Let's start with Sakana AI. It's a new startup out of Tokyo, but the names of the founders of the startup are quite familiar in the deep learning ecosystem. And that starts from one of the most popular or the seminal paper that kickstarted almost all these generative AI revolution, that's called Attention is All You Need. So one of the co-authors of this seminal paper, that is Leon Jones, left the job from Google to have founded this company, which is startup, which is called Sakana AI. And the other very familiar name from this is actually David Ha, who was also previously a Google Brain researcher, but most recently David Ha was the head of research at Stability AI. So Sakana AI is a new AI company based out of Tokyo from two very familiar names out of Google. Now, their approach is also quite interesting. What they are trying to do is they are trying to do something called biomimicry, specifically looking to the collective intelligence in systems such as nature of like schools of fishes and beehives. So what they want to ultimately do is they want to build like a swarm intelligence. Imagine like you have got torrents, but if you, instead of sharing your packets, instead of sharing your files, instead of sharing your data, what if you can share your knowledge? And that is what Sakana is trying to do. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's a Japanese word. It is supposed to mean fish. So it's like a school of fish coming together and doing certain things, like doing coherent things from simple rules. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know in the comment section. But the idea here is that can you build a collective intelligence system that can work coherently or just like a swarm intelligence? I'm quite interested in what Sakana is doing. They don't have the landing page yet set, but you can read a lot about this in this VentureBeat article, which I'll link it in the YouTube description. They've got some funding, I guess, but they are not also sharing what is the fund, who's all funding it. But overall, they've got some very familiar names behind them, and it seems like a very interesting concept. Like while everybody is building like a monolithic system, I mean, we have got mixture of experts, MOE, but even if you keep mixture of experts, it's more closer to, I think, swarm intelligence. So somebody looking at swarm intelligence as a concept in itself, I think I'm quite excited to see what Sakana AI can bring to this particular ecosystem. So that is something that I was quite impressed. OpenAI has made a new acquisition. I think it's more around hiring, like you hire the entire team than hiring the product. So the company that it has acquired is called Global Illumination. I mean, from the name, you might think that is it a small company or what? But if you see the team behind it, that is quite amazing. They've got Thomas Dimson, Taylor Gordon, and a couple of other names. So if you see the particular team that has basically joined OpenAI, these are the teams that have previously built algorithms and products at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Pixar, Riot Games, and a lot of other places. So it is not very clear what this team is going to do in OpenAI, but they've said that they're going to work at the core products. And this is a very interesting aspect to see that OpenAI investing in talent that is basically like a totally different company, and they've got some very good reputation behind them with especially like algorithms and in Instagram and all the other gaming companies that they've previously worked at. Quite interested to see where this is going to go forward. If you have any other information about this acquisition other than this, please let me know in the comment section. Google Brain / DeepMind is building an AI system or a bunch of AI system that can offer you life advices. I mean, this seems like a very interesting area, definitely. One of Google's AI units, definitely DeepMind, is trying to build tools that can offer life advice, planning and tutoring and other items. This is completely a New York Times reporting. And if you see this thing, this is a very interesting area. I don't know like if you know this thing, but using large language model to teach things, to have conversation has been an interesting concept altogether. Even before large language models became prominent, people were always trying to use chatbots as a means for people to chat with, and then sometimes get their frustration out of their life, get some kind of life advice. But having Google do this thing, it is an interesting area once again. I think probably Google might be thinking that they missed on a pure consumer based tool like ChatGPT. I mean, still people use ChatGPT. Google Bard is good. I use it a lot. A lot of people do not like it. I get a lot of comments saying that Googlebot is not good, but I honestly like it. And but still, you talk to somebody who's not in tech about ChatGPT, they definitely know ChatGPT. ChatGPT is so prominent and so prevalent; it has become like part of pop culture. So Google has missed the train. So it seems Google is trying to capture the or catch the next train, and Google is trying to build tools that can offer like life advice and other sort of things. So part of this, Google has contracted with Scale AI, which is I honestly feel like Scale AI has been the biggest benefactor of all these things happening in the generative AI space. I mean, they are partnered with, I think, OpenAI. They are partnered with a bunch of other companies. They have launched their own tools. They have their own labeling team. Scale AI does all the things that you would not see necessarily from a large language model perspective, but that happens in the behind the scenes. So it seems like Google has got a really good position in this, and I wouldn't necessarily trust anything about a Google product until I actually see the product and use it. Everything looks nice on a PR or a news article, but having that on the real world and handling controversies coming out of it is definitely different. So let's wait for this life advice tool from DeepMind and then see what it can do. It seems we are not going to run out of vector database companies raising funds. So meet Marqo, which is a new open source vector search engine for AI applications. It does everything from vector generation, storage, retrieval, and this company has been the latest one to raise some funding for vector DB. You have already got like companies like Pinecone, V8, all these companies raising huge amount of money, and we have got all these smaller players like ChromaDB, Quadrant, all these companies also raising their own money. And now you have got like Marqo coming in and raising money, and these are like ex AWS folks, it seems, and they are building their own vector search engine. And I'm genuinely curious, like honestly, like at this point I'm curious to see what kind of benefits every different this database vector DB company would be offering. I would still argue that for a lot of different use cases you could still go with Postgres or anything as simple as that. But I know vector search and doing this cosine similarity thing might be easier if you use a vector DB company. But having so many companies raising so much fund, like for example, Marqo had raised $840,000 in pre-seed funding. Now it announced a 4.4 million in seed funding, and it's going to double down on these commercial efforts. It seems like one thing that all these VCs are doing very cleverly is go find an open source company, fund them, and make them expand on their commercial efforts. It kind of started with, I would say, that Hugging Face. Streamlit was there. Streamlit got acquired by Snowflake. Then you could see with the LangChain. Then you could see the same with Llama Index. And there are so many other companies where the open source project is quite popular, and VCs would fund those companies to expand and double down on its commercial efforts. So I would love to see what this is going to do. But at this point, you've got another vector DB company raising a lot of money. In the next few sections, we are going to talk about a lot of robotics company. And when we say robotics, these are not necessarily like software only robotics. These are actual physical hardware devices that have certain skills. And the starting with is something called RoboAgent. RoboAgent is a universal agent, and it can do certain things that it has learned, and it can expand beyond the things that it has seen. So RoboAgent can efficiently acquire a wide diversity of non-trivial skills and can generalize them to diverse unseen scenarios. So point is, you've got a robo with certain skills on which they've been trained on, and it can do certain things on which they are not been trained on. And it is quite amazing to see what kind of things it can do. It has got its own foundation model or large language model where it has learned to do certain things, and you can see the kind of the way it has built that knowledge to do what is it. So you can see certain simple tasks like what RoboAgent can do. For example, it can do slide to open, it can do slide to close, it can do flap open, it can pick up things, it can place things, it can slide in. Imagine like you have got a robot that has to pick up a slice of bread from a drawer and then put it in an oven and then close it. It can basically do all those things. But what it can also do is it can do a lot more other than that. and that is possible because it has got a multiple set of items. One is something called RoboPen. It's a distributed robotics infrastructure with all the hardware capability and all these things. RoboHive is a framework for robot learning across simulations and real world operations. RoboSet is the data set that represents all these multiple skills with everyday objects. And finally, I think one of the most important items are probably that I would call a brain, which is MTACT. It's an efficient language conditioned multitask offline imitation learning framework that multiplies offline datasets by creating a diverse collection of semantic augmentations over the existing robot's experiences and employs a novel policy architecture with efficient action representation to recover performance policies under a data budget. I wouldn't say that I understood the entire thing completely. The point here is that this is the core that tries to make the robo do certain things based on what it knows and based on the given data set. So this is kind of, you've got these tools, but you've got the existing knowledge. How would you use these tools efficiently, like in a controlled manner? And that's where it comes in. It's a very interesting paper, and a lot of things require a good amount of knowledge, but also a lot of things are quite English. I would definitely recommend you to try reading this. And also you've got like a lot of videos where you can actually go see what kind of thing it does. Like for example, you can learn that how the robo is trying to make tea, and it uses the existing knowledge that it has got to do certain things. It's very interesting to see this kind of development, and starting with RoboAgent. The next one is called Unitree H1 to be specific. Unitree H1 is a first general purpose humanoid robot, and it's priced below $90,000. It's the half a year of development effort. So I don't know why in all these demo videos humans have to always kick or push robots. I honestly don't know. I don't know what's the purpose. Is it to show the stability? But imagine all this footage goes to the AI in the future, and then it realizes that humans have tortured us, and then it uses this to break all the rules. I cannot stop thinking about it. But anyways, this has LiDAR, this has depth camera, and this uses all these kind of technologies to have like a fully purposed humanoid robot. Probably I don't know if they would beat the Tesla robots in coming into the commercial scene, but overall it seems quite interesting to see that people are actually building actual robots that could be part of our daily life. For good or bad, this is happening. A new paper from Wharton University has said that large language models, or AI, are better for idea generation, especially in innovation, than human beings. Or probably you can say, as the adage goes, that AI may not replace the job of a human, but a human who knows to use AI might replace the job of another human. To the matter that this study has estimated that a human using ChatGPT 4 is thus 40 times more productive than a human working alone. This is quite an amazing research, I would say. I am not a big fan of research coming out of these kind of management institutes usually, but the point here is that this is something that I've also literally seen in my daily life. You go to a software engineer and you give them a problem. A software engineer who doesn't know to use AI would still go the traditional route, go to Stack Overflow, learn the documentation, try to write something, then try to test it out. But a software engineer who knows to use AI, whether it is using GitHub Copilot or Google Bard or ChatGPT or Code Interpreter, what kind of tool you use, doesn't matter. But the factor in which they differ in terms of throughput and efficiency is quite amazing. That's exactly what this study is saying, that AI or large language models are really good at generating ideas, unique ideas, and better than what typically human beings would do, like the ballpark figure. I would definitely encourage you to read this, especially if you're into the economics of AI and what kind of impact it might have on society. I think this is a very important aspect, especially if you're into like a company. You need to educate your employees with AI. This is why another reason that you should probably make AI your friend in making new ideas or building new products. If you're in America, on the other side of the world, China has made a $5 billion order of NVIDIA chips. I mean, this is one, they want to power their AI ambitions, but this is also partly powered by because they're expecting US to clamp down their exports. Either way, this is huge. All these companies, Baidu, ByteDance, Tencent, Alibaba, all these companies have made like $1 billion worth order to acquire more than 100,000 A800 processors from Nvidia. This is a huge amount, and they've got like more figures, like for example $4 billion worth GPUs to be delivered in 2024. So anyways, it seems like, I mean, the entire world is actually looking at China to see what kind of AI that they are developing, and we have seen a glimpse like model scope. We have seen a couple of papers like Quen and other aspects, but this is quite interesting to see that the kind of investment that they are making. These companies have a lot of money. It's not like they don't have money, but the kind of investments that they are making to secure GPU in an age where GPU is actually becoming scarce, like compute is becoming rare these days to acquire, and a lot of people seem to be interested in acquiring GPUs at this point. And I mean, honestly, see, look at Nvidia. The company is on high demand, and that is definitely happening. And this is another very good time to remind the world that Nvidia is not the only company that makes GPUs. There are companies like AMD, even Apple makes GPUs, but most of this deep learning happens on something called CUDA, which is like an Nvidia thing. Like, it's compatible with Nvidia GPUs, and PyTorch and all these kind of software frameworks, deep learning frameworks are optimized for CUDA. So as much as people are investing in this thing, I don't know why people are not investing on other things. I mean, there are definitely investments around improving or moving these deep learning training models on AMD and Metal GPUs, which is like Apple ones. But still, I didn't see like that heavy investment in that space. But either way, Nvidia is actually making a lot of money. It's raining money for Nvidia, and seems China is making this a very serious investment. Let's quickly go over a few items. The first one, starting with DEFCON. It's an international conference where hackers get together and then hack things. So now we have got hacking of large language models happening. There are a lot of companies that have volunteered. Like for example, I think Stability AI has participated, Anthropic has participated. They've given their models for hackers to try it out, and the common consensus is that security has been an afterthought, and quick fixes would not help anything. So there is a huge interest in fixing the security breaches or security lapses of large language models. It seems to be this is a good place for everybody to take care of this thing. So definitely good to see production level companies, like the companies that make production level large language models and AI, leaving their softwares with hackers for them to try it out and then make sure that they will improve these models. None of these results would be open until February, until these companies fix those things, but it's good to see the kind of development it happens. The next one is new news that the scientists from British Wildlife, they've claimed that only because of AI has made it possible for them to track down, also like not just videos, also using audios. So they've used AI controlled cameras and microphones to identify animals and birds and monitor their movement, and this has helped in Britain's diversity. I mean, this is a great news. I absolutely love it. I think this is a positive benefit of AI, but this has also led me think about what kind of impact it would have if they start tracking humans, and I cannot just stop thinking about it, but that's food for thought. The next one is Hugging Face has launched something called LoRA the Explorer. It's a quite cute name, to be honest, and you can go and explore all the LoRAs that are available. So if you're a fan of stable diffusion, if you're a fan of the recent Stability AI's recent model SDXL, you can go here and then explore the LoRAs that are available, and then pick the LoRA that you like. And then if you use an interface like Auto 1111, then you can put this LoRA and then start generating images. The next one, so one of the classics. So Google had a Dreambooth paper, if you remember. So all these fine tuning of stable diffusion started with the Dreambooth, one of the most popular, still the most popular technique for fine tuning or putting your own image inside putting your own image inside stable diffusion. And that original Dreambooth papers dataset has been released. So you have it. You can go here and then see the dataset. If you want to explore, you can use it and then explore. All the images are available. This is great news. Finally, before we wind up, we've got a new ChatGPT Hugging Chat competitor, and that is called Stable Chat. Stable Chat is a new interface, like a chat interface that is coming from Stability AI. It seems like Stability AI is making sure of all the investment that they've got to build tools that people would use. So Stable Chat is a very simple interface where you can go and then start chatting with, but they're very explicit about the kind of data they're using. So they've even very clearly mentioned that whatever you type might be even shared publicly. So be safe about what you type. But it's quite interesting. Like you can just go here and then type, okay, tell me a joke about Elon Musk, and then it would start giving you the answer. You can ask it any question. I'm yet to try this. I might make definitely a separate video altogether about it, but this is another interesting tool to come out this week. I hope this week's AI news coverage was helpful. We covered less papers this week, more around the news. If you have any concerns, if you have any feedback, please let me know. I'm always trying to improve. See you in another video. Happy prompting.